Good evening. This side, Rahul Magan here. Today, I wish to raise a very important point about the credit risk function of a financial institution. Now, when I'm using a word financial institution, I mean to say it may be a hedge fund, it may be a private equity, it may be a bank, it may be a holding company, or it may be a proprietary structure. But technically speaking, the topic which I am raising is more relevant to a very big bank because they are the one who hold the forte to do these kind of trading. We very well understand that the banks are involved in many kind of trading activities. There is no doubt about that. And having said that, the banks are also involved in a technique which is known as market making. Now, market making is nothing when the banks are connecting the buyers and the sellers. So, we are having a buyer of one asset class, we are having a seller of another asset class. The duty of the bank is to connect both of them and whatever administrative charge the bank is making out of it. But the point here is not. The point here is that we all understand that the world is having a concept which is technically known as benchmark curve. Now, benchmark curve is a little technical word, but technically the benchmark curve means the government securities curve. Ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, around 164 benchmark curves are available in the world. Indian rupee benchmark curve, Singapore dollar, US dollar, GBP, euro, Swiss franc, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and so on and so forth. Total 164 benchmark curve are available that again depend upon that government. Few benchmark curves are very liquid. Example, USD, Euro, GBP, Swiss franc, Singapore dollar. But few are very depthful also. Example, USD, Euro, GBP, Japanese yen. So it depends upon government to government with high regards. But my concern is that as we understand that in the last many years, the debt is being accumulated, and unfortunately, the debt to GDP ratio is more or less more than 100% in few cases, and in few cases, it has even crossed more than 150%. Now, my respectful submission is that if I am a bank and I am doing the market making, now most of the banks do the market making and this is legal in nature. There is nothing wrong in that because at the end of the day, you are connecting the buyer with the seller and whatever the administrative charge you are getting, which is pretty small, let me tell you, pretty small, just a insignificant part, of the total revenue of the bank. So if I am a bank, say XYZ, and I am taking a position in a government security curve of whatever country, and in this government security curve, gone are the days when people used to consider that the government security is safe, it cannot be defaulted, or alternatively taking, I am taking a position or in a corporate security. Now we all understand that every country of the world is also holding another curve which is called the corp curve, which is the corporate bond curve. Now that depends upon country to country. In some cases, this curve is linked with the overnight index swaps. In some cases, it is not linked with the overnight index swap. So very hard to, I would say differentiate whether it is linked or whether it is not linked. Let it be honest. But my respectful submission is the bank is having three offices. Number one is the front office. I also dealt in front office roughly 10 years. Middle office, who is taking care of regulatory, legal compliances and all these kind of things. Back office, who is doing the back office work. And there is one more office which is emerging, and God willing, in another 5 to 7 years, this office will play a very significant role in financial institution, and that office is called the risk office. Of course, that office is very complicated in nature. You need a highly qualified people who handle this office. There are various softwares. There are this office is not easy to establish. And forget easy to establish, you need a proper forte to have this office in your financial institution. That is very hard to say, let me tell you. But my respectful submission is that if there is a country or a company whereby debt is an issue and that relevant bank is taking XYZ bank is taking a trading position in that relevant country or a corporate benchmark curve, in this eventuality, I repeat, in this eventuality, there is a thing called credit charge that comes into the picture. Now, technically, credit charge is called CVA, which is called credit valuation adjustment. But I tend to differ because CVA is one thing and credit factoring is another thing. Of course, I'm continuously reading the books, magazines, whatever documents we're getting on the ISDA website, which is in public domain, Federal Reserve website, ECB website, ESMA website, Central Bank of Australia website, OXO website. I continuously read that. But with high regards and high respect, I feel that the credit valuation adjustment is a different concept as compared to credit factoring. I believe that both the credit factoring comes first while the credit valuation adjustment comes second. Of course, we have debit valuation adjustment, margin valuation adjustment, capital valuation adjustment, collectorized valuation adjustment. We have lot of valuation. We have lot of valuation adjustment. We title them as the valuation adjustment. Now, having said that, the credit charge which we are maintaining on that curve or relevant security of that relevant country, that credit charge, can that credit charge be unanimous in nature? That's my point. Example, can we unanimously decide on the credit charge of that country? That's my respectful submission is. My answer is definitely no, because I feel that it is up to a financial institution or a financial institution who will determine whether they're willing to take this credit charge or not, or what they believe on this credit charge, which is technically known as the internal models. But internal model is one thing. My respectful submission here is that can we generalize the credit charge now? For a minute, let's assume we can generalize the credit charge. For a minute, let's assume. But my next respectful submission, if we assume that credit charge can be generalized, then can we assume we can create a credit floor? Now, what is credit floor? Ladies and gentlemen, credit floor is nothing but like I hope you heard about a very good concept called floor and ceiling. There is also a concept called cap and floors. Now, what is cap and floors? Now, cap and floors means that it is an interest rate structure, which means the maximum interest is this, the minimum interest is this. The median could be in between that, or the mean could be in between that. But my respectful submission is, if we are generalizing, for a minute, let's assume, if we are generalizing, then my respectful submission, can I create a credit floor? Can I say that the minimum credit factoring would be this on this bond or a government security of XYZ country? Now, that's my respectful submission, is because after reading a lot of books, magazines, articles, journals, I felt that the credit floor should not be generalized. It should be left in the hands of that financial institution to decide in a very, very bona fide manner. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have some alternate views, you are definitely welcome. But having said that, let me tell you one thing. Though Basel III is not on the cards, but yes, we have many countries in the world who already on the Basel III, like Singapore, United States, many European nations also are on the Basel III. But there is definitely one thing that we need to consider is that Basel III is subject to interpretation issues. because here you are talking about the balance sheet of a bank. You're not talking about the balance sheet of a small company. You're talking about balance sheet of a bank, and in some cases, the banks are too big to fail. If they fail, it would have a systematic crisis, or it would have a contagion effect in the world of financial market, and be aware what had happened in 2008. In this eventuality, this is my respectful submission. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rahul Magan. You have my number 9899242978. Let me repeat, 9899242978. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Talk soon.